Well, good morning, everyone. Pleasure to be here today with you all. I wanted to thank all the YPN community for all you do for C.A.R. and especially in your local community at your local association and all the volunteer work that you encompass throughout your communities. We really appreciate everything that you're doing. Hopefully when things settle down a little bit and we get back to whatever the new normal is going to look like, I look forward to coming back, getting on the trail again, and not campaigning, but actually visiting with you and listening to your comments, concerns, and any suggestions that you have to help better our association. I'm excited about today. Unfortunately, I have to jump off this call and go on a regional chair call with leadership, but I wanted to go ahead and I was part of this, was it 2 meetings ago, Ryan, when we had the first panel in, was it Anaheim? And I got to tell you, Ryan had asked me if I would be on the panel because of some personal circumstances or situations that had happened in my family life. And I tell you what, I was just blown away about the amount of people that were in attendance and just the need for us to communicate and to be open, especially now with what we're going through during these challenging times. And we will survive stronger together. We will be successful. I'm excited because you've got some great speakers today, and I have the honor of introducing Dr. R.E.A.L. She is a psychologist, and she's part of REjuvenate, the mindfulness technique she'll be going over. Dr. R.E.A.L is a licensed clinical psychologist who throughout her training and career has worked in an array of settings as a crisis interventionist and therapist addressing client care in regards to suicidality. And I've had that happen very close, not only in my family, but when I was past president of Bay East Association Realtors, I had 2 directors that unfortunately took their lives over a period of a couple of years, and I've had some personal friends also. So Erica, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you. I wish you guys the best. I'm going to come back and join this after I get done with that other Zoom call. And Erica, Ryan, and Jessica, thanks a lot, you guys, okay? We'll talk to you later.
Thank you, Otto. Erica, you can go ahead and share your screen.
Should I begin?
Yes.
Oh, great. As Otto said, I am Erica Ide, and I'm a licensed clinical psychologist here in Los Angeles. And my focus is primarily the treatment of trauma-related issues, PTSD, other anxiety disorders. And this has been my work for many years now. So it's really what I always wanted to do, so I feel very privileged. So this is the new normal, so hopefully my dogs won't interfere with, they like to join in, but so if you hear snoring, it's my pug. So today, when I was asked to do this on mindfulness in general, I thought about how people, what's going on right now in the world and what might be useful for people in terms of mindfulness. And I wanted to think about it in terms of living. So I'm going to go through this, and you might have some ideas about mindfulness. You might practice mindfulness, but hopefully we can take it to an umbrella term today. So mindfulness is a 26-year-old practice, and it comes from Buddhist tradition, but it's not secular in nature. And it really allows for people to take a step back and witness their experience, opposed to getting caught up in it. So the example I usually use is you can watch a scary movie and you can be caught up in the plot line and, you know, feel your own fear and your own thought process about what's going on, or you can watch it and go, oh, it's a scary movie. So you can witness it, you can observe it. And this practice allows for you to really turn your mind to pay attention to things in ways that you might not do in our multitasking world, where we don't really concentrate on one thing at a time, which can lead to a lot of anxiety, actually, in a lot of ways. So the practice itself really wants to create a space for us to pay attention so that we have a greater ability to really tolerate and regulate our own emotional experience as well as our cognitive experience, sort of our thought process. So mindfulness, as a definition that we'll be working off of today, it's the awareness that arises from paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally, to things as they are. So that sounds kind of fancy, but really all it is paying attention in the present moment. So just being here, whatever here means at this moment, and trying to do it non-judgmentally. And that can be a tricky part, and we'll talk about that. So when people think about mindfulness, a lot of the time the thought is of someone sitting on the floor and doing a meditation, which mindfulness does incorporate that. As I said, it's an umbrella term. So mindfulness can be a traditional practice of meditating, but it also can be just how we live our lives. So when I think about mindfulness, I think about this slide. Because if you look at these children, they are completely present in the moment. And if you really want to learn about mindfulness, just sit and watch a child. They are committed to what they are doing. They are fully participating. They are non-judgmental in terms of what they're experiencing. And they're just fully there. And you can see that in terms of how they experience their world, how they experience their emotions, and even the things that they might say, right? They're just a great example of a way that we could perceive the world with new eyes and curiosity as well. So I want to look at a few things right here. This is metacognition. It really comes from cognitive behavioral therapy. And all it is the practice of thinking about your thinking. And a lot of people will go through their entire lives and never really think about their internal monologue. We have thousands of thoughts a day. And some of them are accurate, some of them are inaccurate, and some of them are adaptive, and some of them don't really serve us well. And just because we think something doesn't necessarily mean it's true, although we might feel that it's true, especially in the moment. So being able to think about your thinking allows you to sort of witness your process, kind of like that scary movie, and not getting caught up in it, which allows for regulation and tolerating emotional experience. So this is a big part of mindfulness in terms of that witnessing process. So let's talk about the monkey mind, right? So if we're thinking about our thinking, that can be kind of a chaotic process. You know, if you've ever seen a movie where there's a voiceover of somebody's internal monologue and they're just scattered, right? So they call this in Buddhist tradition the monkey mind. So it's just jumping all over the place. It's not really focused on any one thing. It's thinking about 6 things at once. You might be working, but at the same time thinking about what you're going to have for dinner. So it's not very still. And there are times when we don't have the monkey mind, where we're fully participating in what we're doing. A lot of times we call that being in the zone, right? So if you have ever done any sports or done any theater of any kind or anything on stage, anything where you really had to utilize all of you and fully just paying attention to that one thing. So if we look at issues around monkey mind, there are a couple, well, there's many of them, but these are a list of cognitive distortions. And again, this comes from cognitive behavioral therapy. And these are sort of like, if you've ever had a pair of sunglasses on and you've gone into a room and forgotten you have your sunglasses on, and you go, God, it's dark in here. And somebody goes, you have your sunglasses on. And you go, oh, that's right, I have my sunglasses on. You take them off, you have a different view of the world, right? So these are lenses for which we perceive the world sometimes. And they're really maladaptive in a lot of ways. They really don't serve us. They don't result in us feeling or behaving a lot of the times the way we would prefer. And most people will use most of these most of the time, self-included, right? So if you take a look at the list, there might be some things that you recognize, sort of that all or nothing thinking, that black and white thinking, right? You always do this, you never do this. Overgeneralizing. So that looks like we're just over a topic, we're sort of generalizing our experience. Discounting the positive, this is something that we can do because our point of view is that of confirmation bias. So if we have a belief about something, we're going to look to the world within our environment to find things that support our confirmation bias. And if we're not feeling good that day, or we tend to be hard on ourselves, we might discount the positive. So it might just be that we're picking out things in our environment that support the hypothesis that things are not going our way. Mind reading, this is one that a lot of us do. And this is the idea that you know what somebody's thinking. So you know their intent, you know why they did something. But unfortunately, it's not something that we can actually do. And if you can take a step back and really witness this process and identify that we can't mind read and we don't know people's intentions unless they tell us, and then we might not even know then. Fortune telling is sort of predicting the future. And this can be very much anxiety related in terms of what if? What if this happens? What if that happens? I'm guessing that there's going to be a problem. I'm gonna go towards believing that whatever I predict for the future is true. Catastrophizing also goes a lot with anxiety, and this is the idea of a snowball going downhill, and as it goes, it gets bigger and bigger and picks up velocity, right? So our thoughts, our anxiety thoughts can do this, so that we start with one little thing and all of a sudden it's generalized to everything. And now everything is a catastrophe. Emotional reasoning, this also comes with anxiety, but it's very much depression related. This is the idea that whatever I feel must be true, which is not always the case, right? If we go back to the scary movie, just because you're frightened doesn't mean you're in danger. Should statements, this comes into that idea of non-judgmental practice. Anytime we use a should statement about ourselves or others, it's really us making a judgment, right? I don't know if anybody has ever said, you know what you should do? And you've gone, hey, back off. And we do it to ourselves as well. So that's that should statement. Labeling is the idea that, again, because we think something, it's true. So we're going to label somebody's behavior as a certain kind of behavior, which also can be a judgment. And personalizing, this really comes from, again, mind reading. So this idea of it's about me. So if I get into an elevator and I say hello to somebody and they don't answer me back, and I go, oh my God, there's something wrong with me. Probably has nothing to do with me, but I've personalized it. So this is, again, cognitive behavioral therapy, and our thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and environment are all interconnected. And with cognitive behavioral therapy, we really hypothesize that thoughts come first in general. If we're in immediate danger, then a lot of the time the thought doesn't come first because we just need to get out of the way and a different part of the brain takes over. But when we are not under threat, it's really our prefrontal cortex, which is our executive functioning. And that's all our planning and our reasoning and our ability to have impulse control. So what we think about when we think about higher functioning, that's the prefrontal cortex. And that's where your interior monologue is usually coming from. So if I think something and I believe it's true, and I'm using a cognitive distortion, it's going to result in me feeling something or doing something. Now, when the thought is adaptive, then I might feel good and I might do something that I want to do that is healthy, right? Is a good choice. An environment also plays a role in this. So these are some things to think about in terms of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, right? It is reciprocal in terms of how they interact. And if you change one, it's going to affect the other. So if I am stuck in traffic on the 405, I might have a certain emotional experience. You put me at the beach, I'm going to have a different emotional experience. So that's how we can, all those things really interact to give us our state of being. And our feelings are really indicators of our thought process. So this is the idea of, if you are aware that you just had an emotional shift, you either had an emotional shift where you're feeling good or you're experiencing some kind of distress or anxiety. That gives you a clue that you just had a thought that isn't working for you, right? We can say it's maladaptive in that we might prefer to think something different that might have a different outcome and result in us, again, feeling better and behaving more in a way that we would prefer. And again, when I say prefer, I'm not saying should, because if we're saying should, we're judging ourselves. So we sort of switch that to I would prefer. So it is semantical, but it's also sort of a point of view of taking that non-judgmental stance about ourselves and others and the world. So when you are practicing mindfulness, really, again, you wanna notice when you're judging, because that's what we do a lot of the time. And you wanna notice when you're judging, because as soon as you say don't judge, you're gonna notice all the times that you do judge. So you wanna cut yourself some slack in terms about judging. So we look at focusing, right? We look at really turning your mind towards some activity, whether it be a thought process or a behavior. And your mind is going to wander. It just is. That's what it does. It's the monkey mind. So it's all over the place. When your mind wanders and you notice it, that's the act of mindfulness. So every time your mind wanders, that's you engaging in mindfulness. It's really not a state of continuous being, because again, we jump all over the place. So if I sit down to do traditional practice of mindfulness, and let's say I'm going to meditate for a minute, I might find that in that minute, my mind wanders 25, 30, 40 times. But each time it does, and I notice it, that's success, right? That's me focusing on the present moment. So the benefits are really cumulative over time. So you might not see the benefits to begin with, which can be sometimes frustrating. But if you stick with it, you'll see that there are improvements over time. And these improvements can be really subtle. You might find, though, that it kind of takes the edge off our emotional reactivity. And usually this happens in retrospect. If we're lucky, we start to do it more in the moment. And we can also do it ahead of time to look at what might be our triggers, either in our environment or with other people, that might result in us having negative self-talk or using one of those cognitive distortions that doesn't really work for us. So there are, when we look at mindful living, right, which is something that I think can be really beneficial, especially with what's going on in the world right now. And this is the idea of not the traditional practice, although that is a part of it, but really just having a different orientation to how you move through the world and how you experience the world. And so I have a couple things here: eating, cooking, showering, driving, walking, and brushing your teeth. When I start to work with somebody for mindfulness, I usually use the example of brushing your teeth because it is a discrete period of time. It's not too overwhelming in terms of the length of time, and hopefully you're doing it at least once a day. So you'll be reminded to do your mindfulness practice. And really, we access the present moment through our five senses. So what am I hearing? What am I seeing? What am I tasting? What am I smelling? What do I feel, right? In terms of my body in space. So when you're brushing your teeth, you would notice the toothpaste and what color it is and what it smells like and what it tastes like and the sound of the water and what temperature it is. And these are, I mean, it's looking at the micro moment and really engaging in that activity. And when was the last time you paid attention to brushing your teeth? Probably not since you were learning to brush your teeth, because it's a great time to think about the rest of your day, right? So this is a practice that I really encourage people to do at the beginning to really get an idea of what it's like to do things mindfully. I tend to use my practice, you know, when I'm focusing on mindfulness. I like to do the dishes mindfully because I hate doing the dishes. So if I will be in the moment, then it's not a matter of, look at all these dishes. I can't deal with this. I'm overwhelmed by it. I'm just focusing on this thing in front of me, right? In this particular moment, this is all that there is. So the rest of the dishes don't even count until I pick up a new dish. So the practice of mindfulness and relaxation is really, well, when we think about our nervous system, and our nervous system goes throughout our body. It includes our brain. And within the nervous system, we have two systems. We have the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. And one sort of jacks us up, and one calms us down. And these two polars are mutually exclusive. So it's an on-off switch. It's not on a dimmer. So you can't have the two systems engaged at the same time. So if you're able to get to a place where you can begin to really access an ability to tolerate and regulate your emotional experience, you're going to trigger that system that relaxes you. So practicing how to get there can be really helpful, so that when you do get activated, you already have a skill set to utilize in that moment. So a lot of research has been done on mindfulness. I'm actually going to give you the link for the UCLA Mindfulness Center. This is a very big center. They do a lot of research there. It's sort of world renowned for mindfulness. It has some amazing people who work there. And they're one of the people who's really ahead of the curve in terms of doing research. But when you think about, again, mindfulness in terms of traditional practice, there's all kind of meditation that has been done for quite a few years that has been something that psychology has taken notice of. So it has across the board so many benefits. There's really a connection and between our health and how we emotionally regulate, right? So if we can engage that part of our central nervous system that mellows us out, then we're going to have benefits within our body: lower blood pressure, less emotional reactivity. There's actually parts of our brain that develop in a way that is rejuvenating almost, because you can have atrophy in the brain, but luckily it's plastic. They call it plasticity. So those areas that become, some of them, that atrophy can develop back. So when we think about being able to regulate and tolerate, things like anxiety, depression, ADHD, these all come into play, because those are usually when somebody is overwhelmed by their emotional state or their cognitive process. So again, really looking at how, if you are able to be in the moment and regulate, how it's going to benefit you in all areas of your functioning and all your experiences. And really, I want to just point out empathy, all right? If we are able to be in the present moment, then we are also able to be with others. And that puts us in an empathetic position. And empathy is really the practice of being able to put ourselves in someone else's shoes. And again, at UCLA, they're doing some research about areas of the brain that they're speculating has to do with empathy. And they call it mirror neurons, which I think is really cool, because it kind of gives you an idea that when you are engaging with someone, your mirror neurons are firing so that you have empathy for them, and hopefully a sense of compassion as well for yourself and for others. So this is a quote that's actually on the website at the Mindfulness Center. So I stole it from them, but it is Thoreau, so I guess it's in the public domain, obviously. But this is sort of the culmination of everything that we've talked about in terms of mindfulness. Looking inward allows us to perceive our world in new ways. For instance, going back to the example of brushing your teeth. When was the last time you brushed your teeth with curiosity, like that photograph of the children, right? And again, if you watch a child, they can do anything mindfully. They're just fully committed. So living our lives with a sense of curiosity about ourselves, the world, and others. Because these are our core beliefs, and they really shape all of that monkey mind, right? They're the root of how we perceive ourselves, the world, and others. So if we can begin to witness our own experience, then we're able to have a different sense of how we interact with the world and how we navigate the world. So I'm going to give you a couple of resources. Thich Nhat Hanh is a Buddhist monk, and really any of his books are quite amazing. He's really one of the preeminent people in the field. And he's really wonderful to watch too, if you ever want to watch him speak, or he comes into town as well. Jack Kornfield is another of the major contributors to mindfulness research and our understanding of mindfulness in the Western world. And again, any of his books can be really useful in getting a better idea of mindfulness. And then the UCLA Center, which is, as I said, is such a great resource. They have an app. They have mindfulness exercises that you can do, that they talk you through, a meditation practice. So you can just download them, and some of them are like 3 minutes long, some of them are like 15 minutes long, which is a pretty long amount of time to practice mindfulness, at least for me it is. But they, a common thing that people ask me about is having difficulty sleeping, right? And part of that is you can really experience your monkey mind when you're lying down to sleep, and all of a sudden your thoughts, the volume goes up on them, right? The world goes a little bit quieter, and your mind just goes, and you have that catastrophizing or predicting the future, the what ifs, or you're thinking back and the if onlys, this hadn't happened, if only that had happened. And we play a tape in our heads, right? So sometimes people find it really helpful to do a mindfulness exercise while they're at the trying to fall asleep, because it can quiet the monkey mind. So if you're having difficulty with something like sleep or anxiety or even depression, it's a really great resource, because the apps can be, I mean, the downloads can be really, really helpful. Now, you know, if you get a recording and you have trouble with the person's voice, then, you know, it doesn't work for you, and that's fine. So just find what works for you, okay? So I have a few minutes, I think. What I'd like to do, and I'm actually gonna time us, we're going to do a little bit of a mindfulness. I know that coming up, there's going to be some breathing work that's done. But I just want you to get a sense of what it's like to pay attention fully with full participation for 60 seconds. We're just going to do 60 seconds. And you're going to get to hear my dog really snoring. And what I want you to do is listen to the sounds in the room. Just wherever you are, begin to listen to the sounds in the room. That's a good way to tap into your present environment. You might want to feel what it's like to be in whatever you're sitting on, a couch or a chair, or whatever, the floor, and feel what that's like, what the chair is like under you. Feel what the temperature is like. What temperature you are in relationship to what it is in the room. Just notice your environment through your senses. Tap into this moment and notice your monkey mind. Notice when you stray, right? Because that's how we work. And if you can, gently, without judgment, bring yourself back to what you're doing, which is focusing on the present moment. So we're going to do this with our eyes closed because it's a lot of the time it's easier. But mindfulness practice, a lot of the time, there's a lot of people who say that it should be done with our eyes open, unless we're doing traditional mindfulness, because we live our lives with our eyes open predominantly. And we want to incorporate mindfulness into our way of living. So I would say if you have experience with mindfulness, you can do it with your eyes open. In fact, anybody can do it with their eyes open, but it might be easier to start with your eyes closed. So as I said, I'm going to time us, and you might find that 60 seconds is a whole lot longer than you might have thought it was. So go ahead and close your eyes if you'd like. If not, pick a point on the floor about 6 feet in front of you and have that be your focal point so you're not darting around the room. And begin to take just a couple of deep breaths. Just notice what it's like to breathe. Just begin to still yourself, your mind, your body. And I'm going to start the timer. I'm not going to speak. And I just want you to become aware of what you're experiencing in the world through your 5 senses, and what you're experiencing in your mind through your mind's eye. So here we go. Okay, that was a minute. So if we were all together, I would be curious what you experienced. Not that I'm not curious right now, but just think about it. Reflect on what it was like to just sit still for a minute. We don't usually do that in our multitasking world and in our busy lives. And notice if right now you feel just a little bit more grounded and a little bit more in whatever space you're in. And notice if your mind wandered and how much it wandered. And when it did wander, what did it wander to? Was it something that was potentially an anxiety thought, or an anxiety-provoking thought, I should say? Or something that made you sad, made you happy, made you feel anything, bored. And that's that thought process that happens before our feeling state and gives us a sense of our emotional experience and clues us in when we have that thought that isn't necessarily working for us. So I think
so much.
I'm out of time, yeah? So thank you, everybody, and I hope that was helpful.
Thank you so much, Erica. Really appreciate it. If you want to put your information in the chat, I mean, we weren't here to solicit, but if there's any information, I put in the information for UCLA and the other resources that you gave us. So really appreciate it. Can't thank you enough.
What I would say is that I do have a website, and if anybody would like further resources, you're more than welcome to email me and let me know. So,
perfect. And we'll put that up in the chat here in a minute. Thank you so much, Erica. So now we're going to move to, there's a perfect transition, Erica working with us on our breathing and mindfulness. And now we're going to have Vee Gomez. She is the owner of Beach Yoga SoCal. She's going to run us through some breathing and body movement. She's a Yoga Alliance certified instructor. She has 500 hours of certified yoga instruction. She's a founder and CEO of Beach Yoga SoCal, and she's also a motivational speaker. Many of you guys may have met her last year at the Realtor Mindful Mental Health and Wellness session we had in Los Angeles during Reimagine. So take it away, Vee. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Ryan and Jessica, for inviting me. It's such an honor to be here with you guys. My business has been shut down due to COVID, so I'm adapting via Zoom, and any opportunities to be able to sort of share some of my tips with you are greatly appreciated, right now. Just a little bit about me. I actually did practice real estate on the East Coast. I'm from New Jersey, so I can relate a little bit about with the things that you guys may be experiencing on your day-to-day, and I can know how stressful the industry can be. So my aim is, well, now I transitioned into yoga as a career, but as an entrepreneur at heart, my aim is really to empower people to use breathing and movement to sort of elicit a calming response in their body, just like Erica was talking about before. Yoga is a tool to initiate the parasympathetic nervous system, which will ultimately help you become more calm and grounded throughout your day. So I'm going to start off with some breath work. And yeah, I did want to say, if you want to close your videos or screens right now at any point, I don't know if you guys can see each other, if everyone's muted or not. I just want you to really take this time to be comfortable. Since you are in your own home and you are by yourself, you can take advantage of doing some of this breath work and some simple movement that will guide you throughout your day. You can do it, when you're feeling a moment of stress, tension, if you feel like you've got overwhelmed or a lot going on. These are easy tools for you to use. The first thing that I'm going to talk about is diaphragm breathing, okay? So when we're breathing and we're taking a nice deep inhale, we want our bellies to expand, our chest to expand. And when we're exhaling, we want to kind of feel the belly contract and the body turn inwards a little bit more. A lot of times, because of our lifestyles of being on the computer and driving and on the phones, I can almost feel the stress and the tension, starting to reside up in our shoulders and in our chest. So sometimes our breath becomes shallow and we're not really as connected to the deep breath within our belly and our chest and our diaphragm. So today I want to focus a little bit on that. Take one of your hands and just place it right on your belly, okay? I can't see you, so assume you're joining me. And then take the other hand and find your heart space. Just place it right on your chest, okay? We're going to start with our eyes open because sometimes I know closing your eyes can be a lot. Sometimes you don't want to do that. It can make people uncomfortable. So you choose what you feel best in. And just go ahead and breathe in through your nose. Take a nice deep inhale through your nose. And then a full exhale out through the mouth. Try that again. Take a deep inhale through your nose. And then a nice exhale out through your mouth. Now, if you can close your eyes and give it a try. And when you inhale, I want you to just observe whether your belly is expanding, whether it's getting bigger, whether the chest is growing. And as you're exhaling, observing what the belly is doing there. There's no judgment here. We just want to build awareness, being mindful of how our breath is going, right? Inhale. Open the mouth, exhale. And now see if you can more deliberately breathe into your hands. So breathe right into the belly and breathe into the chest. Inhale. Keep your mouth closed this time and exhale out and see if the belly can contract. It doesn't have to be this big grand move, right? But the idea of when you inhale, the belly fills up like a balloon. Give it a try. and then up to your chest. And then exhale fully out through the chest, and then emptying through the belly. Let's take that 5 times together. Close your eyes. Inhale to the belly. Feel it expand like a balloon up to the chest. Exhale out. Relax your shoulders. Feel your belly come closer to your spine. Deep belly breath. Right into the chest. Into up to your shoulders, to your heart. Exhale it out from the chest down to the belly. Smooth, deep inhale through the nose. Full exhale out. Nice and expansive as you inhale deep. Fill those lungs with your fresh air. Exhale out completely, making room for your next deep inhale. Right into your belly, up to the chest, broad through the collarbone. Exhale out through the back of the heart, constricting down to your stomach and letting everything go. We'll take one more just like that and make it count. Deepest breath you've taken all day. Maybe even when you get to the top, take one more deep inhale. And this time we'll hold the breath at the top just for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale out completely. Returning to a nice, natural state of breath. So I hope that was helpful. You can see that you can use breathing as a tool during times of stress, distress, discomfort. And there's, times like these when we're going through this pandemic, it can be hard, it can be stressful. So I encourage you to just take a moment. It only has to be 1 minute a day, nothing crazy. Like Erica said, 1 minute of practicing mindfulness. Breath work is another form of practicing mindfulness because it improves your focus. It actually, meditation increases the plasticity of your brain, like Erica was talking about. So you're actually exercising the brain muscle. And the more that we do this, the easier it gets to not have all of those thoughts coming into our brain. Or when they do, we can faster refocus back to the present moment. So again, yoga is just like a tool like mindfulness to help you stay present and grounded in the now. And now I'm going to just show you about 10-15 minutes of some movement that's really easy. All of this stuff I've catered towards all levels. Again, my idea is just to get you moving. I don't want to intimidate you. So hopefully you'll stand up. If you want to grab a glass of water, go ahead. I'm just going to move my light to the side so that I want to make sure you can see me. So if you can't, let me know. I'm going to turn this way so you can just see. Hold on right here, and then let me move it back. Bear with me. Whoops. There we go. Okay, so I'm right here. You can see me, you can hear me. I hope that's all good. I'm gonna check the chat right now. So if there's any reason you can't see or hear me, please let me know. And it doesn't seem like it. Okay, great. So let's start by just standing up, get up out of that chair. I know we spent a lot of time sitting, especially because we were all working from home and we're on our computers. Let's just take a moment to stretch the body and stand up. Bring your feet, I'm gonna step back a little bit, just bring your feet about hip width apart, okay? I'll stay here so you can see. Yeah, that's a little better. Okay, feet are hip width apart. You'll be able to be the judge of that. And just feel all the corners of your feet, right? Maybe even palpate around, find the arch of your foot, find your heel, find that area underneath your toe. Maybe even lift the toes up off the ground for a moment and then relax them back down to find your base, to find your sturdy ground. And then engage your quads, okay? When you engage the quads, you'll feel your knees lifting up. You won't really be able to see me doing anything. It's more mental and exercises your mindfulness ability. So bring your attention to the quads. help with that lifting. And then bring the palms to the side, okay? Open up your palms. Think about bringing your elbow creases, right, forward. So this would be closed in. We want to open the arms out. And then bring the shoulders down and back away from your ears. So already we've got a lot happening. Our quads are engaged, my hands are open, my shoulders are back in ground. I'm going to open my heart, and then I'm going to take a deep breath. And then as I exhale, just lift your hands up over your head. Reach up as you inhale, so grow a little taller. Up out of that rib cage. And then exhale, but stay right here. Just bring the shoulders away from your ears. Inhale to grow tall. And then as you exhale this time, I'm going to step back slightly. I just want you to fold forward like so. Just halfway here, okay? You can bring your hands down to your shins, down close to your knees. So right about here, okay? And when you get there, I want you to lift the tailbone and broaden through your chest, okay? So look forward, elongate out through your spine. If this is uncomfortable, you can keep a little micro bend in your knees, okay? If you've got any kind of knee things going on, place your hands right near your shins and just reach out to elongate through your spine. And then as you inhale again, you'll bring your hands straight back up over your head. Grow tall, lift out of the rib cage. And then come back down to just fold. Placing your hands at your knees, elongate out through your spine. Inhale, broaden the hands up. Keep the hands away from your shoulders, reach up nice and high. And then come back down, fold just halfway again, placing the hands on the shins, elongating out through your spine, and finding length here. This time we're gonna rise up all the way, okay? Keep a little bend in the knees. So everyone together, just bend your knees here. Feet are still about hip width apart. And then slowly, just guide your hands down towards the ground. They don't have to touch the ground, okay? We're just gonna hang out here and fold forward. Take a deep breath and then stay for your exhale. And when you're here in the forward fold, you may want to grab hold of opposite elbow, like you're gonna get ready to cradle a baby, okay? And try to look at your belly button and then just move your hands and arms a little side to side, just a light little sway. By looking in between your thighs, you relax your neck. So just easy motion, guys. And then move back up to halfway. So place the hands on the shin, right? And lift halfway. Then grow full body, reach your hands up above you, grow nice and tall, out of your rib cage. And then place the hands back right next to you like you started. Broaden through your chest, expand through the fingertips and the chest like so. And we'll do another round like that. So inhale the hands up, shoulders away from your ears, chest rises. Exhale, this time fold all the way forward, so bend the knees, come all the way forward. Maybe the hands are closer to the ground this time, but again, they do not have to touch. And relax your head down. Move the hands to your shins or to the knees and elongate out through your spine. Look forward. Think about elongating out through the tailbone as well as through your top of the crown of the head. And then back up, full body, inhale. And then exhale, arms come to the side. Let's try that again, making it a little bit more fluid, a little bit more flow, okay? So just moving along that pattern. Inhale the hands up. Exhale, come all the way down, bend your knees. Hands come down towards the earth. Relax the head. Take a deep breath and just lift up halfway. Place the hands on the shins. Elongate through the chest. And then exhale to lift up all the way. Reach up out of the fingertips like you have a big ball of energy or a beach ball in between you. And then the hands come down to the side for your mountain pose. Reach out through the fingers, broaden through the chest. Smile. Bend your knees, reach your hands up above your head. Last round like this. And then come down to fold easily. Lengthen out through your chest. And then rise up all the way. Feet are hip width apart and our hands come down to the side. Awesome. So that's an easy thing you can do standing up on your own. You know, it's not, that doesn't have to be so complicated. I think that in today's world, it looks so much more fancy than it has to be. Simple movement like this gets you through your day, elongates your spine, allows you to sit taller, it improves your mood. So yeah, that's some of what I had planned today for you guys. Let me know your feedback. I hope I got you up and moving just a little bit. I think that's it for me, but right here, you can connect with me. So if you have any Zoom calls coming up and you need some movement or some breathing work, just reach out to me. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and I also have a YouTube channel, Yoga with Vee, where I upload almost 1 hour flows. Some of them are slow, some of them are fast, some of them are for beginners, some are advanced, something for everybody. So go ahead, you can find them there. They're all available and accessible to you. And just one last bit, if you'd like to practice with me live, obviously we're not in studio right now and I can't go to the beach, so I'm on Instagram or Facebook. You can find the information there. That's my schedule. I'm every great Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. Every week you can find me. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Vee. We really appreciate you coming on and doing that exercise with us. Both of our speakers today came in and volunteered their time to guide you through these different exercises. So thank you so much. Quick little note, we are recording this, so you will be getting a recorded version. And once we start this next session of the REconnect, we will stop the video. A couple of mantras to take with you that we wanted to share was gratitude makes sense of the past, brings peace for today, and creates vision for tomorrow. Also, let's make the comeback greater than the setback. We hope you guys take that with you. Next, we want to thank all of the partnering associations and YPNs for getting everyone involved, encouraging them to attend this. We want to thank you so much to those who are on Zoom with us today, to those who are watching the Facebook Live video of this, and then to everybody who's going to watch the recordings of this later. We hope you take this and really implement this in your life and during this time. And we love the feedback. So this chat is going crazy right now. Please share in there. Next, we're going to move on to the REconnect portion of this. I'm going to stop the Facebook Live really quick. So a little technical pause. And I'm also going to stop the recording.